Coming up today on That LTD Life, we're checking out Claspo, a new pop-up builder that just hit the AppSumo marketplace. It's currently available only for Plus members, but only for a short period of time. As of the recording of this video, 42 hours that it's going to be available only to Plus members, and then it will be available to everyone with slightly higher prices. So if you see this being $49 instead of $39, you know what is up. Now, by the way, I do have links for everything. If you want to act quickly and get on Claspo, you can check out the links in the description, get signed up for Plus if you're not already. So let's go ahead and check out the plans and pricing here. I'll help you pick out the plan that's right for you. I'm going to grab a plan, get it installed on a website, actually show you how everything works inside of this video. Now, one thing I noticed is that AppSumo seems to have taken away the button for me to scroll right to the plans and pricing. I wonder if they're A/B testing this or maybe just have decided to do away with it. So I actually have to manually scroll all the way down the page here. All right, there they are. These are the plans and pricing. Now, there's a few factors that we're going to take into consideration here. Number one is how much traffic are you getting to your website per month that you need to show these pop-ups, or they have gamification, there's forums, there's all sorts of things you can do. So 100,000 page views is going to be tier 1. Tier 2 is going to 5x that, give you 500,000 page views. Tier 3 doubles that. So we're paying $79 to go from 500K to 1 million. And if you need more traffic than that, you can go up to tier 4 for 2 million, or tier 5, which skyrockets us up to $500, but also 5 million page views. A few other things to think about is how many websites do you want to use this on? If you're going to use it with a bunch of smaller clients, well, then you might think about grabbing tier 3. It gives you unlimited domains, but still, the 1 million page views per month. I mean, that's a lot. You can serve a lot of websites with 1 million page views, because not necessarily everyone who visits the page is going to see the form or the pop-up. No Claspo branding on any of the plans, so that is good to see. And then the other metric we have to take into consideration is how many people need access to the tool itself. 2 users, 5 users, 10 users, 20 on tier 4, and unlimited once you get to tier 5. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get started with tier 1 here. I'll get into the application, show you exactly how it works, and we'll even put it onto a website. All right, so here is the onboarding sequence. If you wanna skip this part, I've got chapter markers down below, so you can go right to the part of the video that's most interesting to you. I know a lot of people like to see the entire thing from start to finish, so that's why it is in the video. I'm gonna sign up with email here. You can choose to log in via Google, Facebook, or Twitter. I always choose email and password if I have the option. All right, it looks like my account has been created. I'm just going to agree to their terms. Let's add in a domain and finish registration. All right, so it says, welcome to Claspo, start creating the first widget. So the first thing it does is ask me what the goal of the widget is. Do I want to create a contact base? That's an interesting phrasing. We'll have to dig in with what that actually means. We want to inform users, show a promo offer, and guide audience when it matters. That's probably what most AppSumo customers, I believe, are going to want to do. But there's other options here. We can collect requests from users. So that's gonna be like forms, I would assume. We've got age verification. That is important if you're dealing with anything like alcohol or adult material and you need to verify someone's age. And then they also just let you explore. So, why don't we just explore and find out what they have to offer? Now, one of the main selling points of Claspo is, I think I'm saying that right, Claspo. One of the main selling points of Claspo is the fact that they have, I think, over 700 different templates here. So thankfully, they've got some filtering. I am not going to be going through every single one of these. I just released a video for Whir, which is a form builder, kind of a similar niche, not exactly the same thing, but I did go through all of their templates because they only had 15. They're very nice looking templates, but not going to be doing that in this video here. I would be sitting at this desk for probably the rest of the night. So a lot of really nice looking templates. This is great because you don't want to spend a lot of time building out something like a opt-in page or a 4th of July sale notification when the sale might only be up for 3 days. So it's great to reuse these templates. Obviously personalize them, make them your own, but you don't necessarily need to spend a ton of time redesigning it, when it's going to be a temporary thing. All right, so I'm just gonna pick one of these and we're gonna go into the editor and see what they have to offer. But if you want to quickly glance at the left-hand sidebar here are your use cases, and I will try to scroll in a meaningful way that you can actually glance at them and see There's a lot of options here in terms of your choices. Everything from display a video, verify age, collect pre-orders, collect requests, prevent cart abandonment. There is a ton of different use cases. And they even have an option here, I need another use case. You click that, it actually opens up their chat. So I guess you just can request it through chat. Now, beyond the use case, you can also sort by the type of pop-up that you're dealing with. So we've got pop-ups, floating boxes, floating bars, built-in widgets, launchers, content blocking widgets. And looks like those are the 6 different layouts that we have. And then they're also sorted by industry and theme here, which lots and lots of industries and a lot of themes as well. So we've got all the sales that you're going to need for your e-commerce store. Super Bowl sale, you bet. All right, so I'm just going to go standard here. Subscribe to newsletter. Let's choose that. We can see all of the different options. I'm going to do this one right here, which looks kind of just like a normal pop-up that will show up on the screen. So I'll click into this, and now I am inside of their template. So let's go ahead and maybe see how much we can modify this, make it look, unique to our brand. So the first thing to check out is that we've got basically 4 different screens on this particular template. We've got the sign up screen, which is what you're seeing right now. There's also a success screen, which happens after someone successfully signs up. Then there is an already subscribed screen. So if someone has entered in the same email address twice, they'll see this. And then there's also an error message. So if there's something wrong, they will see this screen. We can view all of these in desktop view as well as mobile. So here's what it looks like on mobile. And we're actually seeing where it's going to appear on the screen. So this is going to be kind of like one of those lower slide out things that appear as you're using, in the corner as you're using a website. I guess the technical term is floating box. So here you go. Now, I assume once I get this into the proper editor, I can change all of the copy and everything, because clearly you're not going to use the exact language they use. But there are a few options here in the template selector screen that I'm on right now. So first of all, I've got a color scheme I can update. There's a nice color picker here, so I can just enter in a hex value or just grab something that I want to from the little picker up here. And they even have a little palette. So if I want to save a color, I can click the plus button there, and now it's saved for future use. So that's really nice. All right, I'm going to add in this lighter blue color, and I will save that as a swatch as well. And now I've got just a few options here, maybe just one other option to use what they call a launcher. So a launcher is a little button that will show up in the corner asking someone to engage. So it's a little bit less, I guess, invasive of their privacy, but probably will convert significantly lower than just displaying the pop-up, because most people's instinct is going to be just dismiss. And it will be for the pop-up as well. But if you have to click a button first, it's going to be like, just go away. Or maybe they never interact with it at all. So I'm going to skip the launcher for my first experience here with Claspo, and let's go to the next screen. And this actually is a different template. So this is an interesting way to browse the templates. All right, that's what these arrows are. Once you found the one you want, then you click up here to use the template. It's going to kick us into the editor now. And now, sure enough, all of the screens are displayed, and I can scroll through them here and quickly update all of the different options. So I'm typing get my weekly newsletter, and I just want to show you how it's responsive. So as it goes to the next line, the actual canvas itself got a little bit bigger there. I'll show you again because you probably weren't watching that closely. So newsletter, it just expands there just a little bit to have the same amount of space around the actual pop-up. Now, if I wanted to get rid of that, I can just select the background and I can turn it off. And now I just have the little pop. I probably personally would prefer this. And then I can just utilize, the actual website as the background. But you could also choose a color. So I can have the color option here. Maybe I'll do a light gray. That brings a little focus to it. Also makes our X to close out the pop-up or floating bar, whatever we're going to call it. It makes it a little bit more visible to have, somewhat of a background color there. We could, of course, reduce the transparency if you wanted to have the rest of the website show through on the background of that. All right, so nice WYSIWYG editor here. Let's kind of just go through the overall layout of what we're looking at, because it's a lot. There's a lot going on right now. If you look at this screen and you're feeling overwhelmed, don't worry. It's quite a bit to take in. So on the left-hand side, we have what they call components, and we can just add these into our design. So we're starting with that template, but we can customize it however we see fit. So if I really like this look, but you know what? I want to gather phone numbers, not email addresses. Well, I can click on the email address and actually just get rid of this field altogether. Right-clicking on it shows me that I can either press the delete key or just choose delete right here, and then it is gone. And now over on the left-hand side, I'm going to grab the phone and I'll just drop that right underneath where the actual email field was. And now I can receive people's phone numbers so they can be added to my SMS campaigns. So there's actually quite a few components here that I can add in. The first few are just overall layout components. So if I want to add a new column, I can drop that in, and there's some nice controls here to adjust the margins and padding. So very responsive. It's working great for me. I am using the Safari browser. So often things like this don't work so well in Safari as I've encountered in my last few videos, but this is working flawlessly, no issues at all. Then under the general section here, we have a text field, a container, which is basically another little box that we can do CSS to essentially over here. We'll get to this right-hand column, but this is where we control all of our style elements. So if we want to have a background, all the things you're used to probably from having a website, you can do that over on the right-hand side. Then we've got images, which I can drop an image in here. Now I can either upload my own image here or go to their image library, which is powered by Pexels or Pixabay. And notice I can sort between photos and icons here. So I could just grab one and bring it in. Or there was another option there, which I'll show you on the next type of image, which is called a floating image, which I can drop literally anywhere I want. Same options that we saw before. So that doesn't change. The function of the image changes, and I'll get to that. So we've got my images, which are going to be ones that you've added or used previously, image library, like we just saw, and then there's external links. So if you've already got, let's say, your company logo and you know what that URL is, you can just paste it in and it will be available to you inside of Claspo. Pretty nice feature. Just be careful about grabbing random images off of websites and then using them in your own pop-ups. One, because that's illegal. And two, they might block your access to them and then you'll end up serving a broken pop-up to your audience, and not a good look. All right, I'm just gonna grab something random here. We'll do, how about whatever, this little butterfly here. We'll add that butterfly in. And now we've got this floating image. And with the floating image, I can literally place it anywhere that I want. I can do it precisely over here with XY coordinates, or just drag and drop it where you want it to go. Now keep in mind, you have a responsive view here. So when you go into mobile, you can reposition this so it looks good on mobile as well. Like, I don't know where it's gonna fit on this, but you could do so. And then if I switch back here, let's remember it's over here on desktop and then it's over here on mobile. Okay, I'm going to press delete, and now that photo is gone. It didn't make a lot of sense, and I don't want to screw up our design too badly. We'll continue looking at these components. So we saw the floating image, there's buttons, you know what those are. We've got some different form fields we can add in. So email, phone, first, last name, text input, text area for longer blocks of text. There is checkbox, drop downs, radio. So the difference between checkbox and radio would be usually that checkboxes allow you to pick multiple items, and then radio is going to be a single select. There's a calendar, and there is a date picker. I wonder what the difference is between a calendar and a date picker. Let's add a calendar in here. Okay, so this is what I would usually consider to be a date picker. Oh, okay. So it's basically the same thing, just a different layout to select a date. All right, just a few more components. We've got a countdown timer, so you can add in some scarcity here. Of course, never false scarcity, because that is lame and no one likes lame marketing. We've also got sliders. A little ridiculous to have a slider in a pop-up of this size, but cool that it's there. If you're not familiar with slider, it's what you see on every e-commerce website. At least you used to see them all the time on e-commerce websites, where you can have an image and then it automatically slides to the next one, to feature different items for sale. I think people figured out that they don't usually work for most sites and have mostly stopped using them. All right, we're getting rid of the slider. In fact, we'll get rid of the countdown timer as well. We've got our GDPR checkbox we can drop in. Maybe I want to reposition this to go under the button. So I'm gonna grab the button and drag it up. There we go, very responsive. Everything feels pretty good using this. I'm gonna add a little bit of space here. Oops, that's margin. So I guess I take that back. It's not that it's bad. It's uncertain whether you're gonna be changing the margin or the padding. So basically I'm changing the margin right now when I move this one because it's adding space below the button. But if I click up here, it's actually changing the padding around the button. And it's doing so uniformly. So it doesn't look terrible, but what I wanna do is actually add some bottom margin here. And it seems like the controls are set up so you can only add bottom margin on any of these elements. It's not a bad approach. I think that works. It might not be like the technically most best way to do your web development, but it's going to work. It's going to get you the results. And that way you're never guessing about, well, is there a top margin on that or is there bottom margin? And you end up having to dink around and, click on a bunch of different elements looking for where you've added in the margin. Of course, there's other CSS properties to do that. And I know the nerds out there are going to attack me in the comments and saying, you need to be using CSS Flexbox for this and just set up your gutter spacing and all. And yes, I know, but this is a simple tool to allow regular people to add pop-ups to their website. So let's not get bent out of shape. There is, by the way, some default settings for spacing between components if you want to, which would be essentially setting a default for margins or paddings, which you have got inside component and around component. But that's on the other sidebar. We'll look at that later on. Okay, so back to our components. We're almost done here. I'm going to add in a promo code. So people who sign up for my newsletter get access to this promo code or, whatever you want to do. You could add that on a different screen, maybe after they confirm. We can drop in a video. So if I want to replace my image with the video, I can do that. Let's get rid of that and we'll add our video in here. Now that doesn't quite fit on this, but I'm sure I can probably, I can resize it to fit. So that looks good. Now I assume that I'm going to need to add in a URL for this. Yeah, sure enough, I double click on it and then I can add in my YouTube URL over here. I can have it autoplay, but it will be muted. And I can even upload a custom thumbnail if you'd like to do that. We've got some social sharing going on. Let's put that up at the top. We've got our icons where we can link people off to our social websites. And actually there's the choice between follow. So do we want people to follow us or sharing? Do we want people to share our stuff? So nice to build that into one widget. Probably one of the more thoughtful ways I've seen people implement social sharing because it's always kind of confusing. Which one am I going to get? Am I going to get the follow icons or am I going to get the sharing icons? And the last option down here is for a gift box. So let's choose this. And what is this all about? I actually don't know what they're trying to do here. I can choose the number of boxes I want, and I can choose a custom image if I wanted to put an image in there. So I guess the obvious thing to do is just like replace the gift box with my head. And then I can do just dozens of my head. All right, so it's like basically a repeater for one particular image. Very strange, but that's what it is. There's only the one image. I'm going to go back to that and I can actually change it. So if you wanted to do a green box, you could do that. Just a decorative item, I suppose. It's fun. I should let it be fun. I have a hard time with that sometimes. I admit it. It's just weird. Okay, I'm letting it go. All right, down here at the bottom, there's some navigation. So you want to go to the different screens. It's going to scroll you down to the correct screen. I'm not going to worry about customizing all of those inside of this video because I think you get the point. You can go ahead and just click around and type what you want, and it works pretty darn easy to understand. We're in this container right here. We saw how to add a container before. There is some basically alignment settings up here at the top. Now, those are being a little glitchy for me inside of Firefox here. I don't know if that's a browser issue or a Claspo issue, but let's see if I can get everything to align center on this second screen that we'll see, the success screen. So I've got an outer container and that is center aligned. I can also move things around here. In fact, I can't click those. I'm going to switch over to Chrome and just double check to make sure that this is a Safari issue. All right, so here I am back inside of Chrome, and I just want to point out that there was some kind of little animation. I'm going to reload this page. The gift box that I was just making fun of, let's go to appearance here, has some kind of little animation working here. So I guess that makes it even more fun, and I should just let it be. All right, let's open up the builder and find out if my alignment options are working more smoothly here. No, they're still kind of disappearing when I hover over them. Now, there is the right-hand selector over here where I can actually adjust things, and maybe that's all that was trying to do. I couldn't tell. Maybe it was just trying to pop me open to this. It wasn't super intuitive, so I'll move past that. But basically, yeah, the alignment stuff works great here. I can top align, bottom align, and center align everything. So this is basically your Flexbox controls, right? Is this going to be a column or a row? And how is it aligned within that box? If you're not a CSS person, don't worry about it. I think that probably makes sense to you. Is it a column or is it a row? But yeah, essentially all of your style controls are going to live over here on the right-hand sidebar, and they're going to be dynamic depending on the item that you've selected. So if I choose my heading here, it's going to give me stuff related to that. So I'm going to change the text styles. I can add and save styles here so I don't have to continue to dink around with everything. It's going to be a style-based setup. So I'm going to add a new style. I'll call this my heading. I'm going to change the font. I'll do Open Sans. We'll make this medium, and let's just make it bigger. So now we've changed things. So now if I add in some additional text, like right here, I can go ahead and choose my heading, and it automatically populates with everything that I just set up previously. So same font weight, same size. So essentially these are CSS classes, and we're able to use classes within this editor. Pretty advanced stuff, and they've done it in a very friendly way. There is some more options to edit here for things like the text. We can change the case, the alignment, the letter spacing, the line spacing. There's custom options. So if you really want to dial it in to exactly, the right line height, you can do that. All right, so that is the editor. I think it's time to go ahead and get this thing published. We'll figure out how we actually initiate it and get it to show up on a website. I'm going to hit save, and I'll save this. Now, I do have some errors, I think, on this. The way I built it out, I didn't finish up some things like the GDPR wasn't completely finished. So you definitely have some more settings to go through there. But you can see here, this is step 1, appearance. Now, step 2 is going to be triggering. And I've got 4 options for how to display the floating bar, they're calling it. The role-based, which is going to be things like, you've been on the page for a certain amount of time, or you're on a specific page. We've got click-based. So maybe if you click a button, right, that's going to be the launcher. I'd have to actually add a launcher. If you have an existing button on your page that you want to use, you can use a CSS-based element. So you just add in this little bit of CSS to your website, and that's going to fire off the pop-up. And then there's also API-based firing of the widget. I'm not going to get into that in this video, but you can see here, there's a JavaScript rule that you can use to fire off the pop-up and get it to display inside of your web app or your website, whatever you're using this tool for. All right, let's just stick with what I think most people are going to want to do, which is rule-based, basically showing up when someone visits a page within, a certain amount of time. I'll click edit over here, and we can set up the actual rule. So it's only going to show up once per session. And let's do when all conditions are met. Let's do 2 seconds on the page and read the page by, how about, 25%. There's other options like exit intent. When the browser notices that the mouse is going up to the URL bar, well, then it's going to display the pop-up. You've seen things like that before. When to stop displaying, so we can have this, only show up a certain number of times, or just keep displaying it every single session until someone actually subscribes, which is what I'm going to leave it as. This is a nice touch. They have something called the annoyance safeguard, and this lets you make sure you're not going to bug the visitors of your website. So it says what to do if this widget, and then there's some conditions here basically. Another widget has to be displayed together with this one. Another widget is displayed on the screen, or another widget has been displayed recently. We've probably all seen those GIFs where all of the pop-ups are kind of covering up the entire website and you can't see the site. It's like the experience of using a web browser in 2024, and then they do one every single year. And they just get worse, right? Because we've got the GDPR pop-ups, the sales, the newsletter opt-ins, all of that stuff getting in the way, and you can't actually see the content on the site. So that is what this is all about. We can have it show in sequence, or we can just not show during that session if other widgets are going to show up. Or hey, forget about it, just show it anyway. You can do that too. We can target specific users. So maybe I just want to show it to people on desktop and not on mobile. And then we can choose specific pages. So we can add some rules here to include or exclude specific pages. There's a little bit of geo-targeting here as well. Obviously, you have to be cautious of this with VPNs and the ability to instantly change your location, but we can show in selected locations. So I could maybe target, how about United States? And now it's only going to show in the United States. I could get very specific here if I wanted and, choose a specific city. So let's see if they have any cities near me. Here we go. Here's Minneapolis. I'm in Minnesota, so I could choose that. And obviously, if I have the United States, that would kind of supersede it. So Minneapolis being hyper-targeted. I'm actually going to get rid of that because I know my ISP sometimes says I'm like in Chicago. So I don't want to have any trouble displaying it, but know that those IP-based rules are there, or kind of geographic lookups. Okay, so that's looking pretty good to me. I'm going to proceed to the next step. The next step is integration. So we're going to specify where we want our data to go after someone fills out our form. It can be stored in Claspo by default. That's good to go. You can also add your own integration right here. Notice we've got a Zapier logo as well as a Google Analytics logo. If you want to integrate with either of those tools, it would be with a Zapier webhook. And I'm going to click integrations here and I can see there's a pretty decent list. All right, so this is a breath of fresh air compared to Whir, which I just reviewed. Otherwise, I loved Whir, but there just was no integrations. And so your data, you have to handle all of that manually. I saw some of my favorites on this list. There is Mautic, there is MailChimp, there is Klaviyo, there is Beehive, ActiveCampaign, a lot. You just go to a Google Sheet. Once you're on Google, you can do other automations through other automation platforms very easily. Zoho CRM, lots of different options here. So if you're wanting to use this tool on like a Shopify website and you're using Klaviyo as your email provider, boom, you're ready to go. You've got pop-ups. You don't have to give away a piece of your business to install some Shopify app just to get like those little gamification pop-ups. All right, for now, I'm just going to store the data in Claspo and hit done. All right, so now it says the script is not installed, and it gives me the button here to install the script. I can either copy the code and install it that way. Otherwise, there are integrations with WordPress and Shopify to do so. There are also instructions for Tag Manager and the Claspo Chrome extension. So yeah, just tons and tons of options here. I'm going to try out the WordPress installation. So it says install the plugin on your WordPress website. Then we've got a script ID I can copy. And then I just basically put that into the plugin. Now you could obviously just use the custom code here if you're using a snippets plugin or something, or your theme has a way to do that. You're welcome to do that as well. For me, I want to try out their plugin. So let's go to plugins and we'll do add new, search for Claspo. Here it is right here. Not very many installations, only 10. They're brand new, at least on AppSumo. 2 weeks ago, it was last updated. All right, it's installed. I will activate. The plugin is now active on this site. I'm going to go over to it on the left-hand sidebar, and it wants me to enter my script ID in. I will do that and hit connect. It says the plugin is ready. Now continue work in the previous tab. All right, so now I've activated the script inside of the plugin. I'm back over in Claspo. I'm going to check the script here and see if it's installed, and it says the script is installed. It's all set for publishing. Go to the widgets and change the widget status to published. So opening the widgets, and I will publish it. It is now published. All right, so here I am on the website. And if you remember, the requirements that I set was that I had to scroll 25% in order for the pop-up to display. Well, I had to be on this page for 2 seconds, but obviously by the time I scroll, it's going to accumulate to 2 seconds. So I'm at the very top of the page right now. I'll scroll down. I'm not quite to 25% yet. I'm saying probably just about getting there. And there it is. I've definitely hit 25% and my pop-up displays properly. All right, so that's great. I can fill out the form here, hit subscribe, and all of my data would be sent over to Claspo because I didn't set up any other integrations. So of course, back in Claspo, I could continue to add more and more widgets, install them on more domains, whatever my plan allows for. But there is also A/B testing included. You might notice that over on the left-hand sidebar. So I'm looking at widgets right now. All of my leads are going to be stored here in Claspo. I can download them and put them wherever I want, or I could have built an integration from the beginning. And then A/B testing. So I can create a brand new widget here and then have it display one widget or the other on the exact same page, and I can see which one outperforms the other. So I'll add a new widget here. I'm going to just grab something from the template library. We'll just do this one, and I'll use this template. Not going to change anything. We'll just go ahead and publish it. And now under the first widget that I made, which you might notice they're both called new widget. I'm not naming these. I could definitely do that. I'll call the first one I made widget 1, and the second widget that I just threw together here is widget 2. And now what I can do is under widget 1, if I click the triple dots, I can choose create test and choose new test. And now I can test widget 1 versus widget 2. You can weight the test. So maybe you think this one's going to do better. You want most people to continue to see that, but you want to just, throw a quarter of the traffic over here and then see which one actually gets the higher conversion rate. Now, doing split testing is an entire science. I'm not going to get into that in this video, but it has split testing built right in, and it's very, very easy to configure. So let's say this was a button color test. So everything else was identical about these. I just want to test their button colors. I can go ahead and start this test. And now back on the page, I got this other pop-up to display. It would only happen a quarter of the time. I happened to get it on the first try, but as I reload this page, now it's only going to display once. I have to actually visit as a new user here. Most of the time, I should see that very first design that only displays after scrolling for a quarter of the way. But some of the time, 25% of the time, I would see that other pop-up, which shows up immediately. And then I could decide from there as a marketer, which one is more important or which one is getting me the results that I want. And then maybe I go ahead and make that the default, and I can go ahead and continue to test another attribute. Maybe it's position on the page, maybe it's the color, maybe it's the button, call to action text. There's a lot of little things you can split test. So once your test is running, we can view the progress of the test. So currently we've had one view to each and neither of them got any interactions. But after getting enough data, I could then choose a winner and proceed to set up another test like I just mentioned. Now it does give you some advice up here on your testing. Like right now it says continue testing. The confidence that some variant is better should be at least 90% before choosing a winner. So right now it's at 0. So what's not to love about Claspo? I think this is a really solid solution if you're using another tool that maybe you're paying for monthly or just another LTD that you're not super happy with. I think checking out Claspo would be a worthwhile consideration. I'm gonna give this one a 7.9, one of the highest scores I've given in a while. I really like Claspo. Everything about using the product was very, very clean. Just great experience overall. So if you want to grab your own copy of Claspo, I've got a link down below. You can click that before making a purchase. Or if you want to get anything on AppSumo, that link helps support the channel so I can make regular content like this. If you've got any questions about the LTD world, or you just want to support the channel by leaving me a comment down below, it really helps get the exposure out there. Of course, like, subscribe, and check out clientamp.com, where you can get subscribed for my free email newsletter, check out articles for all of the videos that I publish, or even purchase a premium course on one of the applications that I make videos about. Right now, there's some ghost courses up there, but there's a whole lot more coming soon. All right, I'm Dave Swift. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next review.